Okay, just tell me straight. How badly did I screw this up? Because the silence in our apartment is so loud it's practically buzzing, and I think I'm going crazy. It's been 3 days since Sean walked out, and my world has shrunk to the four walls of this living room. My eyes are glued to the empty space on the TV stand. It's a perfect, dust-free rectangle where his PlayStation 5 used to live. It's more than just an empty spot, it's like a wound, a black hole. It looks like a missing tooth in a smile you used to love, and my brain won't let me look away. I keep expecting to see the faint blue glow of its standby light, but there's just nothing. The ghost of a machine. My stomach is in knots, this constant, churning nausea that has nothing to do with food. I haven't really eaten. All I can do is sit here on this couch that still smells faintly of him and trace that empty spot with my eyes, feeling this hollow ache spread through my chest. He hasn't answered a single text. My calls go straight to voicemail. I don't even know if I'm blocked or if he just threw his phone into a river. The not knowing is a special kind of hell. So please, just give it to me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how completely, irrevocably screwed am I? We were good. I swear, for 3 years, we were that couple. The ones people pointed to as proof that it could work. Sean is a software engineer, steady, kind, with this quiet confidence that made me feel safe. He's the type of guy who remembers that you hate cilantro and will meticulously pick it out of your takeout, even if it takes him 10 minutes. I'm a social media manager, which is just a fancy way of saying my job is to be loud and shiny online. We balanced each other out. He was my anchor. I was his, well, I guess I thought I was his spark. Our life was a carefully curated Instagram feed of weekend hikes, farmers market hauls, and cozy nights in. But behind the filters, there was this one thing I loved to complain about to my friends: Sean's gaming. That PlayStation wasn't just a console, it was his decompression chamber. After a long day of coding, he'd sink into the couch, put on his headset, and for a couple of hours, he'd just check out. He wasn't ignoring me, he was just recharging. It was his sacred space, his one selfish act in a life that was otherwise completely intertwined with mine. But my friends didn't see it that way. Especially Jessica. Jessica, with her perfect fiancé who ran marathons and built artisanal furniture in his spare time. During our girls' nights, fueled by too much rosé, my small complaints would get amplified into major relationship issues. "He's practically ignoring you for a video game, Kat," she'd say, stirring her wine. "A grown man shouldn't be acting like a teenager. You have to set boundaries. Show him who's boss." The others would chime in, a chorus of agreement, all talking about how they trained their men. It was intoxicating, this feeling of shared power, of being on the right side. I should have known better. I really should have. Because about a year ago, Sean told me about his ex. It was one of those rare, vulnerable late-night talks. He explained that their breakup wasn't about cheating or falling out of love. It was because she did something to publicly humiliate him in front of her family to prove a point. He looked me dead in the eye that night, his voice serious in a way that scared me a little. "I can handle anything, Catherine. Arguments, bad days, disagreements. But I cannot be with someone who tears me down to build themselves up for an audience. That's my one hard line. It's a respect thing." And I heard him, I really did. I kissed him and told him I would never, ever do that to him. I meant it too, at least I think I did. The last few weeks had been rough for him. His company was pushing for a massive product launch, and he was working insane hours, coming home with his brain completely fried. The stress was physically visible on him. He had these permanent tension lines etched between his eyebrows, and he'd started grinding his teeth in his sleep. His gaming time went from a casual couple of hours a night to a more urgent, necessary escape. He wasn't just playing, he was self-medicating with digital worlds where problems could be solved by skill and strategy, unlike the chaotic mess of his job. Naturally, this became the hot topic at our next girls' night. I started it, I'll admit. I was feeling neglected and vented about how I'd basically been making dinner for a zombie for a week straight. My complaints were a currency in my friend group, a way to show you were in a real relationship with its real struggles. Jessica, of course, took the bait immediately. "Oh, honey, no," she said, her voice dripping with performative sympathy. "You can't let him get away with that. He's using work as an excuse to be a child. Maybe I should just hide the controller," I mused, half joking. "That's weak," another friend, Chloe, chimed in. "He'll just find it. Last week, I cut up my boyfriend's credit card after he spent too much on golf. You need to make a statement. The table buzzed with a mix of shock and admiration. It became a competitive sport. Who could manage their man best? The ideas started flying, each one more theatrical than the last. They were laughing, brainstorming like we were in a writer's room for a sitcom. It felt fun, like a game. Then Jessica leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with the thrill of a truly terrible idea. "I've got it," she said, snapping her fingers. "It's brilliant. You should film yourself getting rid of it. Like for good, make a TikTok. The caption could be something hilarious, like, 'Here's how you cure your boyfriend's gaming addiction for good.' Think of the views, Kat. It would be iconic." The room erupted. "Oh my God, you have to do that. That's savage, I love it." For a split second, a flicker of Sean's face from that night, his voice saying, "I cannot be with someone who tears me down for an audience," flashed in my mind. A tiny, sane voice whispered that this was a horrible, cruel idea, but Jessica saw my hesitation. "Don't tell me you're scared of him, Kat," she said, her tone shifting slightly, a subtle challenge. "It's just a joke. He's a big boy, he can handle it. It's about you taking back your power." Power? The word hung in the air, shimmering. In that moment, surrounded by their laughter and encouragement, floating on a cloud of overpriced Chardonnay, and the desperate need to be seen as the cool, assertive one, that tiny voice was silenced. The idea seemed not just good, but perfect. It was the ultimate power move. It wasn't just about the game anymore. It was a performance for my friends, a way to prove that I was the kind of woman they all claimed to be, one who didn't take any crap. I'd be teaching Sean a lesson, sure, but more importantly, I'd be earning my stripes in their club. I'd be funny and strong and in control. The self-aware saboteur in me was at the wheel, and she was flooring it, convinced she was driving us toward glory. The next afternoon, I was buzzing with a toxic mix of adrenaline and self-righteousness. I waited until I knew Sean was stuck in his last meeting of the day. The PS5 was heavier than I expected. As I unplugged the mess of cords from the back, I felt a pang of something, doubt maybe. It looked so sleek and important sitting there. But then I pictured Jessica's smug, approving face, and I pushed the feeling down. I hauled it out to our small balcony on the 4th floor. The city hummed below. I propped my phone up against a flower pot, hit record, and plastered a huge, fake smile on my face. "So," I began, my voice a caricature of a perky influencer, "is your man spending a little too much time saving virtual princesses and not enough time paying attention to his real-life queen?" I winked theatrically at the camera. "Well, I've got the ultimate life hack for you." I hoisted the console up. It felt cold and alien in my hands. For a horrifying second, I saw a flash forward of Sean's face when he'd see this. But I was already in too deep. The performance had to be completed. With a dramatic grunt, I heaved it over the railing. It didn't make the spectacular crashing sound I'd imagined. It was more of a dull, sickening thud, followed by the clatter of plastic shards scattering on the pavement below. I filmed the aftermath for a few seconds, then ended the video with another triumphant grin. I spent 20 minutes editing it, adding a trending, upbeat song and a slow-motion replay of the fall. I typed out the title, "The Right Way to Cure Your Boyfriend's Addiction," added a laughing emoji, and hit post. The likes and comments started pouring in immediately. "OMG, you're my hero. This is the energy I need. HAHAHA, his face will be priceless." My group chat was blowing up with fire emojis. The validation was a drug, a warm rush that completely numbed the growing dread in the pit of my stomach. Sean got home an hour later. He walked in, dropped his keys in the bowl by the door, and came over to kiss me. For a moment, everything was normal. Then his eyes drifted to the empty space on the TV stand. He frowned. "Hey, where's the PlayStation?" Before I could answer, his phone buzzed. Then mine did. It was a notification from TikTok. A friend had sent him my video. He picked up his phone, his thumb hovering over the link. I watched his face as the video played. The cheerful music, my stupid, chirpy voice, the slow-motion shot of his prized possession plummeting to its death. The color drained from his face. His expression didn't shift to anger. It went from confusion to disbelief, and then settled into a terrifying, absolute calm. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just slowly lifted his eyes from the screen and looked at me. "We're done, Catherine," he said. His voice was flat, devoid of any emotion. It was colder than any shout could ever be. He walked into the bedroom. I followed, my brain still struggling to catch up. What, Sean? It was a joke, for my friends. He was pulling a backpack out of the closet and stuffing a few shirts into it. He didn't even look at me. "You did this for an audience," he said, his back still to me. "You heard me. You knew what my one line was, and you danced right over it with a camera in your hand." I started to cry then, the pathetic, panicked tears of someone who has just realized they've set their own house on fire. "Over a stupid game console. You're leaving me over a stupid game." He zipped up the bag and finally turned to face me. His eyes were completely empty of the warmth I knew. There was just a profound, bottomless disappointment. "It was never about the game, Kat," he said softly, and then he walked out the door, closing it gently behind him. The click of the latch echoed in the sudden, crushing silence. For the first few hours, I was just numb. I kept replaying the click of the door latch in my head. It felt unreal, like the end of a movie, not my actual life. I half expected him to walk back in, maybe angry, but at least there. But the silence just stretched and deepened. Then the panic set in, a cold wave that started in my toes and washed all the way up to my scalp. This couldn't be happening. He was overreacting. He had to be. I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling as I typed out a text. "Sean, this is insane. Come back and let's talk about this. It was a stupid, stupid prank." Delivered, no reply. I waited 5 minutes that felt like 5 hours. I sent another. "I'm sorry, okay? I'm so sorry. I'll buy you a new one, a better one. Just please answer me." Delivered, still nothing. I tried calling. It rang, and then went to his cheerful, recorded voicemail message. The sound of his voice, so normal and happy, was like a punch to the gut. I called again. Straight to voicemail. Blocked. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. He had actually blocked me. My shaky fingers navigated to TikTok. I needed to delete the video, to erase the evidence of my colossal stupidity. But when I opened the app, my stomach dropped. The video had exploded. It was nearing 1 million views. But the comments, the initial wave of praise from my friends and their followers had been drowned out by a tsunami of outrage from strangers. "This isn't funny, it's abusive. Major red flag. He needs to run. Imagine if a guy did this to his girlfriend's stuff. He'd be arrested. You have serious issues, get help." The stage I had built for my performance had turned into a public pillory, and I was the one being stoned. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely press the delete button. When the video was finally gone, it didn't feel like a relief. It felt like trying to unring a bell. The damage was done. The digital ghost of my cruelty was already out there, being screenshotted and shared. I sank onto the couch, the silence of the apartment pressing in on me. It was the first time I realized how much of the background noise of my life was actually Sean. The click-clack of his keyboard from the office, the low hum of his game, the way he'd absent-mindedly whistle while making coffee. All of it was gone. He hadn't just taken a backpack. He had taken the life out of this home. By morning, the panic had curdled into a desperate need for an ally. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't a monster, that Sean was being dramatic, that this would all blow over. My first call was to Jessica. I poured out the whole story, my voice cracking, expecting the same fiery, "you go girl" energy from the other night. Instead, there was a long, awkward pause on the other end of the line. "Oh, wow," she finally said. Her voice was flat cautious. "He actually left." "Yes, he left. He blocked me, Jess. I don't know what to do." I was practically sobbing now. "Gosh, Kat, that's really intense," she said. The sympathy in her voice sounded hollow, rehearsed. "I mean, I never thought he'd take a joke so seriously. That's kind of an overreaction, don't you think?" She was technically agreeing with me, but it felt like she was carefully placing distance between herself and the situation. Between herself and me. "Listen, I'm just about to hop into a meeting. Why don't you two just take some space? I'm sure he'll cool down." Before I could even protest, she was gone. My calls to the other friends from that night went similarly. Chloe claimed she was in the middle of a family emergency. Another said her reception was bad and promised to call back, which she never did. They had been the enthusiastic audience for my act of self-destruction, cheering from the front row. But now that the stage was on fire and I was trapped in the middle of it, the auditorium was empty. They weren't just avoiding the drama, they were avoiding me, as if my catastrophic judgment was contagious. The awkward distancing was 1,000 times worse than them yelling at me. It was a quiet, collective verdict. Their silence told me everything I needed to know. They had enjoyed the spectacle, but they had no intention of being associated with the fallout. I had made myself a villain to please them, and in doing so, I had become a liability. I had sacrificed the one person who had my back for a group of people who wouldn't even answer my calls. The clown makeup was smearing, the spotlight had gone out, and I was utterly, completely alone on a dark, empty stage. Days bled into a week of silence. I was losing my mind, pacing the apartment, checking my phone every 30 seconds for a notification that never came. I decided I couldn't just sit here and wait. I had to do something. I started cleaning, a frantic, desperate attempt to impose some order on my chaotic life. I started with his side of the closet, intending to pack his things neatly into boxes, a gesture that I hoped would seem mature and apologetic if he ever came back for them. That's when I saw his tablet, tucked away on the top shelf, a place he put things he didn't use often. My heart hammered against my ribs. Maybe there was something on it. A note. A draft of an email. Anything. My hands were shaking as I powered it on. It was still logged into his accounts. I felt like a trespasser, my guilt warring with my desperation. I opened his web browser, and the first thing I saw was his bookmarks. There was a folder there I'd never seen before, innocently labeled Future Stuff. I clicked it. The page was filled with links. The first few were to local jewelry designers, their sites showcasing elegant, understated engagement rings, the exact kind he knew I loved. My breath caught in my throat. I clicked on one. It was a beautiful, simple platinum band with a single, perfect sapphire, my birthstone. He had been looking at it recently. The page was still cached. Below the jewelry links was a reservation confirmation for a boutique hotel in the mountains, a place I'd mentioned wanting to go to ages ago. The booking was for 2 nights on the weekend of our 4th anniversary, just a month away. The air left my lungs in a painful rush. It was like the world tilted on its axis. All this time, while I was complaining to my friends that he wasn't paying enough attention to me, he was quietly, secretly planning our entire future. While I was plotting a cheap, cruel stunt for social media likes, he was planning to ask me to marry him. I dropped the tablet on the bed as if it had burned me. The hollow ache in my chest exploded into a raw, physical pain. This was the gut punch, the final, devastating blow. I hadn't just destroyed a game console. I had taken a sledgehammer to the beautiful, delicate future he was building for us, and I had done it with a smile on my face for the whole world to see. It's been a few weeks now. The apartment is officially just mine. Sean never came back for his things. He had a moving service come while I was at work. I just came home one day to a closet that was half empty and a bathroom with only my toiletries on the counter. It was efficient, impersonal, and utterly brutal. A mutual friend, probably out of pity, let it slip that Sean had relocated for a new job opportunity in a different city. He just needed a clean break, Kat, the friend said, his voice full of an uncomfortable sympathy that made my skin crawl. He's doing okay. Of course, he blocked me on every platform. My number, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of it gone. But you can't ever truly disappear in this day and age. I made a new, anonymous Instagram account. A Finsta. It took me less than 10 minutes to find him through the tagged photos of his friends. His own account is private, but theirs aren't. So this is my life now. This is my nightly ritual. I lie here in the dark, the silence of the apartment a physical weight on my chest, and I scroll. I stare at the screen of my phone until my eyes burn, a pathetic digital ghost haunting the edges of his new life. Last night, his best friend posted a story. It was a group of them at a backyard barbecue. The sun was setting, tiki torches were lit, and everyone was laughing. And there, in the middle of it all, was Sean. He was holding a beer, talking to some girl, and he was smiling. Not just a polite smile. It was a real, deep, genuine smile, the kind I haven't seen on his face in months. A smile of pure, unburdened relief. He looks happy. He looks free. And me? I'm trapped here in the cold, blue light of my phone, in the prison I built for myself. I refresh the page, again and again, watching the 15-second clip of his happiness loop into infinity. Each time it plays, it's like a fresh stab to the heart. This is my hell. A social media stalker's hell. And the worst part, I know without a doubt that I deserve every single second of it.